Hello everyone and welcome back to Utawarerumono. Before we get into it, a couple of little updates. Number one, I know that the Utawarerumono episodes have been coming out on Tuesdays instead of Mondays. Mondays have just gotten really hectic, so it's probably going to be the case for a little while that the schedule is a little loose. Actually, I would say indefinitely, it might be a little bit loose. We will get episodes up when we can get them up, so I appreciate everybody's patience. We're still trying to get 3 a week, but it'll kind of depend on what other things are going on, especially around the holidays. It's going to be a little bit crazy. Number two, there's probably going to be 2 Utawarerumono episodes this week, because we didn't have time, Sarah Prince and I didn't have time to record a 9-9 and a Psy Portal, and we really wanted to get a little bit more into Psy Portal because we're enthralled not knowing what comes next, especially after we've already gotten one ending, and what a doozy it was for those of you who haven't watched it. I think that about does it for housekeeping. So in the last episode, we successfully negotiated, if you want to call it that, with Shees and convinced her to let Ruletia return with us to Enakamui, and also Shees might be enamored with Oshtor, which that could be dangerous because she is very strong-willed, to say the least. But so is Kuan, and so is Anju. That's kind of the trend with the women in these games. They're very strong-willed people, and I like that. It makes for interesting character development. Let's see what's going on now in the valley. Also, I did check out one of the Munechika trials, but there's a few of them. I'm not going to go through them right now, but I will go through them eventually. Next. In the depths of the vast woods, a man meditates alone on the forest floor. Ooh, is it Mararo? Oh, duh, it seems so obvious that it would be Vorai. We haven't seen him in a while. His body is absolutely still, as if he's become one with the trees surrounding him. Time passes unnoticed in the stillness until... the man hungers. Or not. Suddenly, the forest is filled with screeches and cries of animal terror. Heavy, thudding footsteps come closer and closer. Woodland creatures scatter and flee, terrified. They don't sound like they're scattering, they sounded like they were sticking around for a little while. But the man is unmoved. What that says. Onomatopoeia. Even after the smaller animals have fled, it becomes clear that the footsteps are coming his way. Louder. Ah, another one of those suckers. An enormous guanji, likely one of the ones brought in for the previous battle. It must have escaped after going unused. Even a soul-shaking roar registers as little more than an annoying buzz. Vorai finally opens his eyes, regarding the guanji as he would an insect. For a moment, the guanji seems paralyzed in place, stopped by Vorai's sharp gaze and commanding voice alone. I guess it didn't last. It lunges, charging to close the distance. Its jaws are open wide enough to see into its vast gullet as it charges forward, seconds away from impact.
Shosh!
And then it died. With one mighty swing of his hand, he decapitates the guanji in a single chop, judo chop. The body staggers on, driven forward by its momentum, then collapses. Wow, that was very no-nonsense and very scary. How did we fight and hold against him in his regular form? Was Oshtor that strong? The ensuing crash resounds through the trees, and then finally, silence descends once more.
Nurui.
Bathed in the stench of bestial blood, Vorai only sounds disappointed.
Mohaya, nanbito to iedo, waga chi no tagiri o shizumeru koto wa dekinu.
You might want to see somebody about that. That's not normal. Entua steps into the clearing, having made her way through the foliage.
Kisama ka.
どうしてそんな無茶を
すでに時は満ちた。 動かずにおれようか。奴はいたか。
直接この目で見たわけではないですが、噂は聞いています。
So, is he still looking around for... I mean, I know he's still looking for Oshtor, but is he using Entua to accomplish that? Ever since Vodai started moving on his own again, Entua had been visiting Enakamui's grounds more and more often. Okay, that kind of answers that question. She told them she was there to gather food, but that was merely a cover. She was there on behalf of Vodai.
オシュトル様は今、確かにエンナカムイにおられます。
She delivers her report to Vodai, relaying everything she had learned while undercover in the city. Even after their declaration to take back the throne, she recounts, Oshtor's fame grew even greater, and he gained more and more followers. Vodai is not impressed.
それでこそ、我が欲する最強の敵。
Okay, maybe he is impressed.
これでお分かりになったでしょ。再戦など、今さらオシュトル様と戦うことに何の意味があるのです？
I don't know that you can really convince him. He seems like he's pretty single-minded.
所詮は女か。
Well, that's rude. She saved your life, dude. He turns his back on Entua.
どこへ行くつもりです？
Clap, clap, clap.
知れたこと、オシュトルの元に赴く。
ですが、まだ怪我が。
No, wait, this is good. We might actually have a tiny iota of a chance.
世話になった。
待って、今戦っても叶うはずがありません。
Although I really suspect he's going to get there, and he's going to realize pretty quickly that that's not actually Oshtor, because if Mikazuchi could figure it out, then Vodai would definitely be able to figure it out. I mean, I feel like there's a intelligence, wisdom, something difference, but the fighting style will probably give Haku away. Vodai turns his head slowly to Entua, who clings desperately to his arm.
とう。ならばいつ戦う？いつまで待てば、我はオシュトルと戦うことができる。
Can you wait until after the war is done?
アクルカは命を食らう。それは奴とて同じこと。だが、奴の方が少しばかり恵まれているらしい。
I don't know about that. Something about this strikes Entua as odd, that a man like Vodai would speak of such things as fate and the blessings thereof. Vodai cannot admit that he is lower than his enemy. Could that be frustration? Self-loathing? Enlightenment? Or...
いずれにせよ、我が戦はあと一度で終わる。
Oh.
そのことを知っていながら。
So he's basically trying to go out in a blaze of glory at this point. Suddenly, Entua's father flashes before her eyes.
わしはここに置いていけ。この傷、もう助からぬよ。人の身では拭いそむ神には勝てぬ。
Her father once compared the Akura Turaka of Yamato to Nuguisom Kami. If an Akura Turaka fought with all their unearthly power, what would happen? And if their opponent was also an Akura Turaka, the collateral damage would kill countless other soldiers, or even innocent civilians. Homes burned by the ravages of war, families broken apart, people hurt and left to die in the cold wilderness. She had seen it with her own eyes, the same grim endings, time and time again. She cannot let this man go.
オシュトル様は私がおびき寄せます。
Entua speaks without thinking.
ざれ言を。
I don't think so.
本当です。
I'm gonna do it.
ならば、どのようにしてオシュトルを連れてくる？
私は以前、宮廷付きの女官をしておりました。 オシュトル様にもお会いしたことがあります。
I mean, she could lie and say she knows where Honoka is. Actually, she may know where Honoka is. I'm not sure.
ほう、面白い。一介の女官風情がヤマトの将を呼びつけられるだと。
Again, she saved your life, dude.
私に考えがあります。ただし誓ってください。戦うのはオシュトル様だけ。他の者たちには決して手を出さぬと。
誓えぬ。
Well,
アクルカの力を真に解き放てば、我が我であることさえ受け負えぬ。故に誓えぬ。
could we at least go to a different place to fight?
なぜそこまでして。
それが我の生き様。他に何の理由がいる。
Hearing that from Burai, she realizes that any further questioning is useless.
わかりました。オシュトル様は必ず私が連れてきます。
I guess she has a chance of reducing the collateral damage if she's kind of in control of how they meet, maybe.
どうかそれまでお待ちください。
貴様、何故我のためにそこまでする。
Valid question. Possibly because you kind of remind her of your father, I'm guessing?
あなたのためでは。あなたの。
She tries to continue, but the words won't come. For a moment, Burai's stony face looks like someone else's.
私には父がおりました。
Yep.
ヤマトとの戦の折、父はオシュトル様との戦いに敗れ果てました。
見事だ。さすがはウコンへ大将。
So I guess she still harbors some of that deep-seated resentment toward Oshtor, which makes sense. I mean, he did kill her father, but her father also chose that, so...
貴殿もな。人たちは浴びせたか。ならば悔いはない。良き戦であった。
That day, her father stood unflinchingly against a monstrous enemy. He fought bravely and lost. It hits her in a sudden, painful realization. The man in front of her is the same. He seeks a death he can respect on his own terms. Okay, that makes more sense, because I was thinking, whoa, her father was at peace with the decision even though it was devastating to her. And he explained it to her. And the only person who can grant his wish is her. Burai peers into Antua's eyes searchingly, as if he might find the truth therein.
貴様、ヤマトの女官と言ったな。故郷を捨てたのは復讐のためか。
そのように思われるのも当然でしょう。
ならば、オシュトルは我と貴様の共通の敵というわけだな。貴様の父親の仇、我が必ず取ってやる。
Antua bites her lip, looking down. For now, she can work with his misunderstandings and gain his trust this way, so that the tragedies of the past wouldn't be repeated. But as to whose tragedies, who she's protecting, and who she wishes to protect, Antua has no answers. Yeah, that's a very complicated situation. There are a lot of layers to it. And I also feel like Burai is just so battle-driven and focused on accomplishing his own goal. His goal of fighting and either beating or dying to Oshtor, his worthy adversary, that he does not understand the nuance of anything else. We have the illusion of choice in the office. It's been some time since we returned from our travels in Kujuri. We sealed our alliance with no further problems, but there's still so much work to be done. At times, instead of setting our sights on the highest peak, we must first ensure that we stand on steady ground, and so I work with this in mind.
という感じなんだけど、どう？
なるほどなのです。では、ここの
After finishing lunch, as I returned to the office with Kiryu, I noticed Kuan and Nekone chatting? I noticed Kuan and Nekone chatting as they study a map.
何を話し込んでいるのだ。
It's the map, it's the map, it's the...
あ、やっと戻ってきた。オシトル、ちょっといいかな？
なんだ。
I glanced at the map, noticing all the symbols and lines drawn across the land.
ねえオシトル、ここに新しく水路を通せたらみんな喜ぶと思わない？
Are you trying to get a bath again?
以前話題になった湖か。実現は難しいという話ではなかったか。確かに水路を通したとなれば、水回りが豊かになり、皆も喜ぶだろうが。
やっぱりオシトルもそう思うんだ。この先のことを考えたら水路は必要になるって。
And also, we get the benefit of baths. Wink, wink.
そこでなんだけど、実現するよう前向きに考えてみてはどう？
Kuan keeps darting meaningful glances toward Nekone. Subtle. Nekone nods to that.
姉様の言うように、新しく水を通せば余裕ができて楽になるかと思うのです。畑に回せる量も増えるですから、作物の収穫量も増えるですし、それに
And you know, there would be baths.
今のままですと、この先水不足に苛まれることになると思われるのです。
Oh, okay, that's more rational.
どういうことだ。
私たちはさらなる戦力の増強をする必要があるのです。つまり人が増えるということです。それを考えると、
そうだな。食料の備蓄には気を配っていたが、水は
Yeah, that could definitely be a problem.
実際少しずつですが、城内にある貯水池の水位が下がり始めているみたいなのです。
そうか。
We won't run out today or the day after, but if we keep going at this rate, it's possible that an actual war would be out of the question.
新しい水路を引く必要があるのは分かった。しかし、戦を控えた今、大規模な工事をするような人手も金もないことは皆もよく分かっているはずだ。どうやらクオンには考えがあるようだが、一体どうするつもりだ。
そう言うと思ってた。
Use the mask. Kuan looks particularly smug, like she's been waiting for me to ask.
確かに新しく水路を引くとなると多くの人手と資金が必要かな。でもそれを簡易的なものにすればそんなに手間もかからずに済むはずなの。そして私にはとっておきの秘策があるんだ。
It's so secret, even I don't know what it is.
秘策。
それはね、
Kuan clears her throat, confident in her proclamation.
竹を
Ah,
使えばいいかな。
that's actually a pretty good plan.
私の故郷のやり方なんだけど、こういった大規模な水路を掘ることができない場所には竹を使って水を通すんだ。
竹ですか。それって筒状で中身が空洞になっている植物の。
そう、その竹。
なるほど。竹か。
軽くて丈夫で腐りにくくて加工もしやすいから、こういうことにはうってつけじゃないかな。
Oh yeah, that would be great actually.
これをつないでいけば、ほら簡単な水路の出来上がり。どう？悪くない方法だと思うかな。
If nothing else, it's a good temporary solution until they can actually build a proper waterway. Kuan puffs out her chest confidently.
確かに。そういったものを使えば水を引いてくることは簡単になるな。
姉様。
何猫ね。
But Nekone seems reluctant to speak. With Kuan so eager, she's trying to be considerate.
とても言いにくいのですが。
Oh.
ないのです。
ないって何が？
ですからこの国には自生していないのです。
Oh. Yeah, that would be a problem.
竹は。
え？
Kuan's smile freezes.
竹のことは書物で見たことがあるですから知っていたですが、このエンナカムイには自生しない植物で。
The good thing about it is it does grow in a lot of places. I feel like it's a pretty hardy plant. I could be wrong. I am not a botanist.
おそらくはこのエンナカムイだけでなく周辺諸国を探しても竹は生えてないと思うのです。
Toskura's close. I mean, it's not close to Enakamui.
え？
そう言われればずっと竹を見たことがないな。ということは
ですので非常に言いにくいですが、姉様の秘策は
Aw. Kuan's tail, previously wagging with joy, droops to the ground.
ごめんなさいです。
It was a good plan. It just had a fatal flaw.
竹がないのなら代わりに他の木を使えば。いや、ダメか。
はいです。できないことはないですが、丈夫で腐食に強い材木を同じような大きさでたくさん揃えるのは大変なのです。それに加工の手間を考えると、たとえ多くの人手が割けても短期間ではとても。
でしたら金属で筒を作ってみたらどうでしょうか。金属で同じ大きさの筒を作りつなげていけば。
There you go.
木材よりもはるかに金がかかる。
Nope.
ただでさえ戦に備えて大量の金属を必要としているのだ。むやみに金属を消費するのはなるべく避けておきたい。
それなら石を組んで使うのはどうかな。石ならただ同然だし。
石の水路を作る手間を考えると木材よりもずっと困難だろう。だからこそ竹を使おうという話だったのではないか。
そうでした。
待ってよ。普通の建材の石の代わりに石灰岩などはないのか。
Okay. Now he's thinking.
確か石灰を焼いて粉にして水と砂利も混ぜ合わせれば原始的なコンクリートになるはずだ。
That'll work.
ごめんなさいです。希少な鉱石ならともかく、さすがにどこにどの石があるかまでは。
It's entirely possible they have it, they just don't refer to it as limestone.
そう言われればそうだな。しかしただ同然でどこにでもあるものか。土くれならそこらにあるが、それで何ができるというんだ。
Make it into clay? Well, actually, I mean, clay's different from dirt, but still. I sigh heavily in defeat, reaching for my lukewarm teacup.
湯飲み？
And then, with my finger against the hard smoothness, everything becomes clear.
猫ね。
はい。
この湯飲み、一体どこで作っている？
湯飲みです。それなら多分近くの集落で。
The realization hits her mid-sentence.
兄様、もしかして。
そうだ。陶器用の土と上薬を使って長い筒状の管を焼き上げる。
Okay, so it was getting to clay. In fairness, where I am from, the layer of dirt that you have is very shallow. And after maybe a couple of inches, you hit clay, particularly red clay. So when I think of dirt, clay just is kind of synonymous in my mind.
いわゆる土管というやつだ。この場合は陶管と呼ぶ方が正しいが。
I mean, that makes sense. They would be kind of fragile, but it should work.
あ、陶器なら腐ることがないし水漏れもしない。何より自由に形を変えられて安上がりかな。
陶器、考えてもみなかったです。
どうやらそれで決まりのようだな。
A solution at last. Unable to help myself, I smile broadly.
猫ね、早速で悪いが費用の見積もりを出してくれ。キュールは焼き物ができるものを集めてくれないか。
Even the hairy ones, the Harry Potters.
わかりました。任せてくださいです。
かしこまりました、兄上。
あと、実際に測量をせねばな。クオンにはその手配を頼めるか。
もちろん。
With orders tossed out left and right, the room quickly grows much more busy.
さてと、どうやらうまくいったみたいかな。すべては計画通り。
Everything went according to plan. I will finally get that bath I have longed for so long.
姉様、さっきからブツブツとどうしたですか？
なんでもない、なんでもない。
To laughing.
ほう。
Back to the office. I'm not sure why we left.
失礼します。オシュトル様、お父様から果物が届きました。
And now for something completely different.
どうぞ皆さんでお召し上がりくださいって。ビミ、甘酸っぱくてとても美味しいです。
Just like those two. Before Roletia's even finished talking, the twins are already digging into the fruit we have out for sampling.
これはありがたい。甘いものは貴重だからな。
I pluck up a large morsel of some dried fruit or other and take a bite. The flesh is thick and fresh, and the dense sweetness spreads throughout my mouth.
これはうまいな。
Good stuff.
お世辞抜きにうまい。濃いめのお茶か強い酒があるとさらにいいな。
ありがとうございます。お菓子に練り込んだりすると美味しいので、今度作りますね。
それは楽しみだ。甘いものに目がない正常もお喜びになるだろう。王禅殿にも感謝の意を伝えてもらいたい。
The divine sweet-toothed scion.
クジューリの名産品ですし、そう言っていただけるとお父様も喜ぶと思います。
As Roletia leaves, a thought occurs to me. I stare at the dried fruit in my hand, one bite taken out of it.
そういえば確か。猫ね。
はい、何です？
すまないが、これを母上にも届けてくれないか。確か母上も甘いものは好きだったはず。ぜひ食べていただこう。
Look at him. That's so nice. Being the good son.
自分で届けたいところだが、あいにくここを離れられなくってな。猫ね。
はいです。
She's just like, oh my gosh, he's caring about mom, even though she's not his mom.
どうした？何か視点が定まっていない。ほうけていたように見えたが。もしや具合でも悪いのか？
I reach over toward her forehead, worried she has a fever, but she visibly flinches at the gesture.
少し疲れているようだな。ここのところ無理をさせてしまっていたか。
I think what it is she's kind of gotten so into the routine that she's stopped thinking about him as not actually being her brother, and then every once in a while it clicks back in her head. It's like, oh yeah, that's not actually my brother.
大丈夫なのです。
そうは見えぬ。母上のところへ行ったらそのまま休んでくるといい。しばらく帰っていないのであろう。
That's just a theory, though. I could be totally off base.
ですが、
心配するな。少しの間くらいなら猫根がいなくともなんとかなる。それよりも猫根や母上の方が心配だ。
She shakes her head. Once, twice, 3 times. And then forces an awkward smile.
わかりましたです。それでは兄様。
ああ、母上によろしく頼む。
はい、行ってくるです。
Nekone rises, takes a step forward, and nearly collapses to the ground. Oh. That's okay. Maybe something else is going on. I reach out reflexively, taking hold of Nekone before she falls to the floor.
あれ、
猫ね、どうした？大丈夫か？
Nekone stretches her arm out, as if reaching for something, and then clutches instead onto her own robes.
やはり具合が悪かったのか。
兄様。
とにかく横になるんだ。すぐにクオンを呼んでくる。
Oh.
あれ、私どうしたです？
倒れそうになったのだ。気づかなかったのか？
はい。もう大丈夫なのです、兄さん。
Flustered, Nekone pulls away. Once she's back on her feet, she stops, seemingly stable. Okay, maybe I was right. Aw.
猫ね。
なんでもないのです。それでは、母様のところへ行ってくるです。
Yeah, I think the pressure of constantly having to keep up the illusion that he is Oshtor probably wears on her more than even she realizes. It's probably just a subconscious thing.
いや、母上への使いは別のものを立てる。猫ねはこのまま部屋へ戻ってゆっくりと休むといい。
でも、
I smiled lightly, trying to dispel Nekone's worries.
猫ねに倒れられたら、それこそ母上に怒られてしまう。そばにいながらどうしてとな。
Yeah, that sounds right. My words seem almost to have paralyzed her. She stares at me, frozen.
違うのです。
Yeah, okay, I was right.
うん。
なんでもないのです。
So in her mind, she'd gotten into this routine with all of the activity for the war effort and everything else that she kind of forgot that Haku is not Oshtor. Nekone shakes her head over and over. Her tail quivers, puffing up with each passing second.
それがしは何かおかしなことを言ったか？
I think it's going to reach a head at some point, though.
主様の名はオシュトル。
Ah. Nekone's body jolts at Ururu's sudden interjection.
ヤマトの双璧と謳われるウコンウェ大将オシュトルとはまさに主様のことです。
なんだ、二人とも突然。
オシュトルはただ一人。主様が主様に見えるのは当然でしょう。違うです。兄様は。
She tries to speak, but she can't find the words.
猫ね。
いえ、本当に何でもないのです。
Nekone shows me a smile, then turns her back on me, sliding the door open and stepping out.
お。
But as she goes, I see something dark reflected in her eyes.
不安。まだ引きずっています。
It makes sense. I mean, of course, she's going to feel that remorse about her brother. But that is a vulnerability, because how are they going to be able to maintain the illusion?
この防壁に脆くなっている箇所が見つかりました。門も随分傷んでいるようです。
仕方あるまい。これまでのエンナクムイは外異の脅威にさらされるような状況になかったのだからな。砦の壁を厚くする余裕があるなら田畑を広げる。里へ降りてくる獣を防ぐだけならこれで十分だ。しかし状況はすでに一変した。
I peer down from the watchtower.
東大元暮らしか。一人二人の密偵ならば簡単に忍び込めるだろう。
You just see somebody looking very suspicious down there, be like, "Just acting casual. It is I, random citizen of Anakamui. Pay no attention to me."
はい、こちらが先に見つけてよかったです。
Bold of you to assume.
早急に修繕の手配をいたします。
そうだな。それと猫ね。
Nodding at Kuryu's words, I look to Nekone. But Nekone only gazes blankly, staring off in some other direction. That's not good.
猫ねさん？
She's fraying at the seams. Even Kuryu looks to Nekone, his serious expression giving way to uncertainty. Yeah, this is going to be a problem.
猫ね。
When I hesitantly touch Nekone's shoulder, her entire body jerks back in shock, and she finally meets my eyes.
はいなのです。
防壁修復の詳細を後でキュールから受け取っておいてくれ。
わかったのです。
I feel like really what needs to happen is somehow she needs to have a heart-to-heart conversation with Kuan. Because even though I know Kuan is happier that Haku is alive, I feel like she needs somebody else to confide in, to talk through what she is feeling and what she is thinking, somebody she trusts. Because Ururu and Sarana are very resolute, and they'll keep her kind of grounded in what needs to be the truth, but they're not sympathetic. She needs somebody who has actually got kind of an emotional range, and I think Kuan would be a really good person. But of course, then there's the whole situation that she doesn't know that Kuan knows. Nobody knows that Kuan knows, except for Kuan. So, it's this weird ships in the night kind of situation.
疲れているのか。
そんなこと。
Tired of maintaining this illusion, Nekone offers an indifferent reply, but I can't feel any energy from her.
当然といえば当然か。終わりの見えない戦で皆疲れている。ね、キュール、他に問題になりそうな箇所は
数え上げればキリがありません。
全てとはいかなか。わかった。優先順位をつけよ
Don't give me a choice.
う。手が回らぬところは別の策で対応しよ
わかりました。
Despite his stern reply, I can hear Kiryu's voice quaver slightly.
厳しい戦いになりますね。
う。戦とは常にそういうものだ。人が死ぬ。敵であれ味方であれな。戦場では人を数でしか見ない。だがその一つ一つに命がある。思いがある。
And that's what separates him from Raiko. Because Raiko just sees statistics and numbers. He sees pawns. He doesn't see people.
背負う命の重みと散りゆく命の意味を忘れてはならぬ。
And if everything works out in a positive way, that'll be a deciding factor. But I don't know.
はい、兄上。私もいつか兄上と同じものが見られるようになりたいと思います。
Nekone seems to be staring intently throughout our conversation.
では、兄上。
With a parting bow, Kuryu climbs down the watchtower. Watching him leave, I speak to Nekone.
我々も行くとしよう。どうした猫ね。
Nekone shakes slightly, as if regaining her senses.
の
You could also talk to him about it too.
疲れているのであろう。少しの間肩を貸そ
いえ、大丈夫なのです。問題ないのです。
う。それなら良いが、あまり無理はするな。
Aw, that's cute, even though she looks very uncertain. Saying so, I gently pat Nekone's head.
ん
You're not him.
アニソン。
Nekone's arm raises seemingly of its own volition. She reaches toward me suddenly, as if possessed. But before she can touch me, she pulls back, apparently realizing something.
どうした？
私はもう子供じゃないです。
Yeah, you are. Nekone averts her eyes as she speaks.
そうか。すまぬな。
At Nekone's prompting, I let my hand fall.
やはり様子がおかしい。口では強がっているが、無理をさせているのかもな。
Yeah, I think there are a few different aspects to it. But overwork definitely could be a thing. Nekone peers over the schematics of the fortress, spread out over the table before her.
やはり設計が古いのです。これを機にできるだけ最新の様式に改めないと。確かこの辺りに。
Nekone stretches up, trying to reach a book on a high shelf. Oh no! She finally grabs the book she was looking for, but as she tries to pull it out, other heavy volumes rain down on her after it. When the dust settles after the avalanche, Nekone climbs out of the book slide, rubbing her head ruefully. At that moment, the scene from earlier that day flashes across her mind. Aww.
猫ね。
Her eyes widen with shock, and she sinks down to the floor in anguish. Everything she had repressed, all the tears she had held back, it all comes out now.
今日頭をそっと撫でてくれたのは一体誰なのです。まるで昔の兄様みたいに。兄様はいいえ、違うのです。あれは兄様じゃないのです。
That is a really crappy position because she has to maintain the illusion for everything. But at the same time, she's also got this cognitive dissonance because she doesn't want to forget about her brother, obviously. Ugh.
でもだけど本当の兄様じゃないはずなのに。
I mean, the psychological pressure.
あの時目の前にいたのは誰なのです。わからない。もうわからないのです。私はどうしてこんな気持ちに。
Grief.
猫ね、どうした？今何か大きな音が聞こえたが。
Ooh, bad timing.
兄様。
Or good timing, I don't know yet. Hurriedly, Nekone wipes her tears on her sleeve.
なんでもないのです。ちょっと手が滑って本の下敷きになっただけなのです。
Ooh, that statement has layers.
そうか。怪我はないか？
大丈夫なのです。何節か頭に当たったですが。
泣いていたようだが、痛むのか？
いえ、今はもう。
Nekone keeps her distance, as if in fear of his touch.
しかし、熱心なのはいいが、根を詰めすぎなのではないか？
ごめんなさいなのです。でも。
That was a little jarring because I feel like sometimes the narration voice... I feel like usually the narration voice is from the perspective of Oshtor/Haku. Sometimes it's been from Kuan, but it seems to kind of change a little bit without a lot of warning. Sometimes it's just the omniscient narrator voice.
わかった。眠気覚ましの茶でも持ってこよう。本の整理ならそれがしも手伝える。
She stares blankly, even after he leaves the room, in a daze.
兄様、違うのです。本当の兄様は。
Oh no, she's got the stare again, the 1,000-yard stare.
兄様が兄様になってしまったら、兄様はどこへ行ってしまうですか？
She's on the way to a mental break.
私が認めてしまったら、
Mm-hmm.
兄様が消えてしまうのです。
Yep, that's exactly what I thought.
兄様のことを覚えてる人がいなくなってしまうです。
But that's not true, because Haku will always remember Oshtor. Because everything he is doing right now is because of Oshtor. Okay, so what really needs to happen is she needs to talk it out with Haku.
兄様、どうしてそんなにも兄様と同じ目をして笑うですか？どうしてそんなにも兄様と同じように撫でてくれるですか？どうしてそんなにもどうして
After a moment, Nekone weakly rises, taking unsteady steps out of the room.
兄様の言う通り、きっと疲れているです。だから、せめて落ち着くまで、兄様と距離を置いた方がいいのです。
Ooh. That's going to make things difficult. Nekone walks around outside of the estate. Even in the cold evening breeze, her heart will not settle. A shadow falls over her Ono.
兄様。
Nekone reflexively turns.
猫根さん。
Oh, it's Entua. The woman kneels respectfully in the dark. She seems familiar somehow.
あなたは確か。
エントゥアでございます。ヤマトでは、アンジュ様お付きの女官をしておりました。
Nekone recalls. After risking everything to help Anju and Oshtor, she was the one who remained in the Imperial capital to search for Honoka.
無事だったですか。
オシュトル様や皆様も、あの後無事に国境を脱され、今はこのエンナカムイに身を寄せているとお聞きしました。今日はネコネさんにお願いしたいことがあり、無礼を承知で伺いました。
何なのです。
オシュトル様の秘密についてです。
Oh.
兄様の。
こちらではお話しできない要件ですので、ネコネさんにご足労いただきたいのです。
兄様の秘密。
I don't think she actually knows the situation. I think this is probably just she's going to kind of coerce Nekone into coming along and then use her as a lure to get Oshtor to come out to face Wurai. That's my assumption.
どうぞこちらへ。
As if delirious, she walks unquestioningly forward into Entua's arms. And in that moment, the woman presses a damp cloth against Nekone's mouth. Yep, it was a trap. A sweet scent fills her nose, and Nekone feels her consciousness waver in a sudden lurch.
これは眠り薬。
Nekone goes limp in her arms. Entua gently readjusts her weight, supporting her.
申し訳ありません。でも、こうでもしなければ。
There probably was. She pulls a folded letter from within her robes and mounts it to a nearby tree, stabbing a small blade through it into the bark. Without a doubt, the only person who could read it would be its intended recipient. The night wind blows over the sound of a wafter's heavy footsteps, fading into the darkness.
猫ね、一服しよう。猫ね。
I glance around the room, but she's nowhere to be found. The books and ledgers are still on the floor where she left them.
猫ね、一体どこへ。あの几帳面な猫ねがこんなに散らかしたまま。
And then, I hear the distant sound of a running wafter in the night. Something cold settles in my stomach.
まさか。猫ね。
I burst out of the room, looking wildly around for Nekone. And then I see it. A short sword jammed into a nearby tree.
これは。
I pull out the blade and grab the letter before it falls. It's addressed to Lord Oshtor. Trying to control my pounding heart, I open the letter.
貴公の玉、我が小中にあり。玉を砕くこと望まぬなら、他言無用。身一つで来られたし。
Below the note, a crude map is drawn, with an X marked at a specific point in the wilderness. It can only mean one thing.
猫ね。猫ね。
Yep, that's exactly what it is. Oh boy. Alright, I hate to do this, but this is actually where I'm going to end this episode. I did not mean to turn this into a cliffhanger situation, but I have to keep it a little bit briefer with just how things are going today. And besides, this will be good motivation to come in the next episode and figure out what has happened. Sorry? I feel so bad for Nekone. I'm not going to go into a lot of details recapping things because I feel like I kind of went into my exploration of her thought process through this episode. I feel like maybe him rescuing her will help quell some of those lingering thoughts, that attachment, but I really don't know. The timing is convenient, so to speak. I don't know if that's really the right word for it, but it would kind of solve this subplot pretty nicely if he actually, takes care of the situation like Oshtor would. But we will find out soon enough. Well, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. For now, I am one half of the Bridge Boys, signing off.